Hello! In this tutorial I'll teach you how to convert some static data into dynamic data in a database table. So let's log in our framework, choose the advanced workspace, and let's disable this or skip these tours, and let's select my first projects. Let's skip again these tours here, doesn't really matter, and after we select our projects we can see that we are in the project dashboard. So in here let's just create a new page, call it tests, which will be user-defined page. So all of this we have done this in the previous tutorials. Let's skip the tour again, and now let's choose a template. We already have here a template installed, so let's select that layout. Okay, now that we have our new page created, we can see with the corresponding template. What we need to do is let's drag and drop some static data here, so then we can convert that to dynamic data. So let's search here some items list like this one, so we can save and show you what we have now. So currently we have a list with 3 items, as you can see here, shows 3 items. So if we put this a little bit smaller, or like this, okay, now you can see that we have here the 3 items here. Okay, so what we want to do next is, there are multiple ways of doing this, so let me just show you the board so we can see what is each element. So the next step, what we want to do is to create a database table with the fields corresponding to what we see here. So what do we see here? We see a title, we see a description, and we see an image, and then a link. The link doesn't need to be in the table. What needs to be in the table to be dynamic, it's the title, the description, then the image. Basically this is like an article. So what we need to do, we need to go to our database table, to our database, and let's create a new table by clicking here, add table manually, and let's put here the new table name called article. It could be some other name. The article needs to have an ID. We'll have attribute title, we'll have another attribute called description, and we're gonna have another attribute called images. By default, the system detects the type of each attribute that you put, but in case it doesn't, you need to select it manually. So for now we have already our table created, so let's just add our table. Okay, and it's done. Voila, table is created. Another way of doing this is we could come here and do the add table automatically, where in here we needed to put the table name at article B, and then in here will be add the corresponding attributes like title, description, and image. It's exactly the same. As you could see, the type it is correct in all of them. Okay, this is exactly the same. So when you do the create table automatically, it creates these 4 attributes automatically. You could delete them if you want. It's your own choice. So there are multiple ways of doing exactly the same thing. So let's just erase this table, doesn't really matter, and let's keep this table article. So now next let's add some default records into this table. So currently this is a new table, so it's empty. So let's just add 2 records in here. So let's just put some dummy data in here, doesn't really matter which that data is. Let's just save, let's add another one. Okay, so currently we had to the database these 2 records. So next let's go back to our test page again. And now in our test page in here, what we want to do is to convert each of these elements into dynamic data. So basically the system needs to know what is the element that it needs to replicate for each record. which is this div here, this element here. So we'll replicate this for each individual record. So this is exactly the same, so we can just delete them. We won't need them. We just need one. Okay, so currently we have here, so the div, the element that will be replicated, and the parent that basically will load the records of the attribute of the table that we created. So how do we do this? So first of all, let's select, so the parents, which is this one, is already selected. Let's go to this 3 dots icon and let's select the option load resource. And let's choose new resource, since we don't have any created. Let's select our new table, the article table, and let's select the type of the table that we want is to get all the records from that table. Okay, let's click the button update. Automatically the system creates the resources to get that data from the database and adds the corresponding fields in our properties of this div. So basically what we need to do is, now that he creates the articles resources inside of this property, so currently we are inside of dynamic widgets, in the resources, in the load resources, where we are loading the resource articles which the framework created automatically. So when will the system load this resource? So we need to select that, the load type. So basically we need to say that I want this to be load on page load. Next, we need to select a handler, so the system knows that he needs to replicate these multiple times. So the handler for this, by default we have some handlers here, so it's not none of these ones here. We need to select a different handler. So we go to this zoom icon and we select here loop. We select list, since what we have here it's a list of items, and we select the only options that we have, which is a handler load list table or tree resource. We do update and we are almost done. So next step. So currently what we have is the framework. We have a page which will load on page loads this resource here, and this resource here, what you're gonna do is to get all the records from this article table. So the next step, what we need to do is to tell to the system what is the HTML elements, what is the widgets that it needs to replicate for each record. So you're gonna get the list of records. So what we need to tell him for each individual record that we're gonna get from the database, what you need to do. So we need to select the specific div that we want to replicate. We need, in this case, to scroll down until to the properties, and we need to select a type here called row item tr or div. So we need to select, we need to make these widgets with this type here, and automatically the system, the handler that we selected here, so the handler, this handler that we selected here, this handler here, will search for the elements inside, for the children inside with this type here, and for each record it will replicate them. So second step is done. And for last, what we need to do is to tell, for each record we need to show in here the title, we need to show here the description, and in here the image. So where do we do that? So or we can come here and do show resource attributes, or we just click in the specific item and we go here to the display resource attributes, where we select show resource attributes, where in here we put the correspondent attribute name of the resources that we are calling, which is the article resource corresponding to the article table. And here we do the same thing. In here we want to show the description, and in here we want to show the attribute name, the attribute image. So as we can see here, we have the title, the description, and the image. And in here we want to show the image. However, this is a SVG, so we need to convert this first to an IMG element. Okay, so it's converted, and now in here we do right click, we choose resource attributes, where in here we can go to the resources that we had created before, and we can choose the attribute image. And okay, perfect, it's done. Almost done. We need to set the width and the height, but before that, what we have here in the source, it's basically what we are saving here in our database table. It's the binary of the image, and what the browser needs, it's a URL of the image. So if we want to put the binary of the image here, the browser needs to have a prefix to interpret that as a binary. So to do that, we need to put something here before. So how can we know what we need to put? So my advice is you go to Google and you search HTML img base64. You choose the first link, and in here basically it will tell you that you need to copy this prefix here, this part here, data semicolon image slash png, or could be jpg semicolon base64 common space. So you need to copy this into the prefix of the image. So in here you do Ctrl V, okay, it's done, and now we can go to the dimensions of the image in here, where we can put 100 pixels. It's just an example, and now we can save and preview our page. So currently we had this and we convert this to dynamic data. So if we refresh this, we can see that now we have the two records that we created in the database. If we want additionally, we could set these links to point to the index page with the correspondent ID of each article. So we need to select the link, we need to go here to the properties, click in this icon here, choose the index page, and add a new attribute, in this case a new parameter, which will be a list variable called ID, corresponding to this ID here. And we do updates, we save, and if we refresh the page now, we can see that here it redirects to the index page with ID 1, and in here with ID 2. So if I click here, I can see ID 1 here, go back, if I click here, I can see the ID equal to 2. Note that this is redirecting to the index page, which is currently blank. It's why it appears in like this. Okay, but basically it's just to showing you how easy it is to convert static data into dynamic data. And that's it. This is the tutorial that I wanted to show you. So thank you very much.